Everyone, welcome back to my channel for my episode 9 breakdown of Stargirl, which was just a really good episode. These last few have been really good without being super actiony, if that makes sense. We are seeing Eclipso systematically break down first the JSA and now the Dugan-Whitmore household. So far, we've seen Yolanda leave the team after Eclipso made her confront her guilt about killing Brainwave. In the last episode, Rick ended up in jail after tricking him into seeing his uncle as Grundy, after making him think that Grundy had killed a little girl. So he beat his uncle to nearly death and then is now in jail. Beth is the only one that really made it through her encounter and basically told Eclipso to piss off. She isn't giving in to him. She isn't unscathed by any means. I think a lot of her that she's going to carry from this encounter is emotional trauma, but she's still on the team. As a matter of fact, her and Courtney spent a good chunk of this episode planning and plotting over the phone while the Eclipso storm rages on outside. Like I mentioned, this basically focuses on the Dugan-Whitmore family, so Pat has his own experience with Eclipso, while Barbara and Mike have their own experience that is separate but also linked. So I'm going to talk about them together, and first. Barbara is at work when she's told they are sending people home because the storm is getting so bad. Meanwhile, Mike is prepping some things for the basement so they can ride out the storm there, even though Courtney is planning to confront Eclipso soon. Barbara's car breaks down on the way home and she's trapped inside, where she's confronted by a vision of Icicle. Now, in my last video, I talked about the idea that Icicle is still alive, and I'm not entirely against that still, even though we know this was a vision. I still think he is in some capacity alive. They've just been spending so much time focusing on his portraits every time they're around that he has to be like somewhere. He's not gone, you know? But this is Eclipse's vision of Icicle, and he is toying with Barbara and this dream that she destroyed and the love that he felt for her, although she was already with Pat. Meanwhile, Mike is freezing at home when Cameron shows up unannounced to ride out the storm there after getting stuck nearby. And in this vision, he comes after Mike for killing his father, even killing their dog, and almost offing Mike until Courtney steps in and helps him see the light by using the staff. For Barbara, Shade intervenes to tell her that this is Eclipso's vision and that she needs to start the car and get out of there. Pat's visions are a little different. In the opening of the episode, we see how Eclipso originally escaped the stone, which was possessing Bruce Gordon. At this point, Eclipso has talked Bruce into basically destroying his life, and Bruce is ready to just end it all. However, Eclipso makes one last bargain with him: put the gun down and he will make his love interest, Moira, leave her husband. And he does drop the gun, and then, like he attempted to do with Cindy, Eclipso possesses him, freeing him from the stone. When we are with Pat alone, he sees this yellow rose on the counter, which takes him back in the memory to Rebecca Mid-Nite's funeral, Dr. Mid-Nite's daughter. Turns out that the woman that Bruce Gordon loves, Moira, was Charles Mid-Nite's wife. So by killing Rebecca, their daughter, this resulted in the end of the Mid-Nite marriage. At the funeral, the JSA talks about their need to stop Eclipso with the appearance of this Earth's Flash, Jay Garrick. At the end of the funeral, in a later memory, we see that Sylvester meets with Shade to talk about ways to end Eclipso. Sylvester later explains to Pat that Shade told him the only way to stop Eclipso is to kill the host, meaning Bruce Gordon. Pat though reminds Sylvester that this isn't the JSA way and they need to find another way. In between these visions, we see Pat in the basement by himself. He has the Starman uniform, and then his hands are covered in blood, obviously meaning there's blood on his hands, but we'll talk more about that in just a moment. The next memory is a vote. Now, we know that Pat wasn't an official member of the JSA, and we get a better picture of just how he was treated by some of the members of the JSA, like he was less than. But now they are going to use him as a tie-breaking vote after several members like Green Lantern and the Hawks have tried and failed to stop Eclipso. The vote is whether or not they're going to kill Bruce Gordon. Mid-Nite is in favor, mostly out of vengeance for his daughter. Wildcat wants to kill him as well because he threatened his family. However, Flash and Pat are against killing. Pat automatically thinks that Starman is going to vote the same way, but to his surprise, he not only voted to kill him, but makes Pat ready the car and take him there to do the deed. By now, Courtney has saved Mike and has broken into the basement to free Pat of these visions as well. When Courtney asks what his visions were, he finally comes clean with the secret he's been keeping the whole season. Starman did kill Bruce Gordon, and then the team basically fell apart after, and stayed apart up until the point that the ISA regrouped. Pat feels that this led to their death because they were a fractured team from this point leading into that final fight with the ISA, hence the blood on his hands. He feels responsible. Courtney doesn't respond well to Pat keeping this from her because they had made the promise to each other to no longer keep secrets. She's even more upset when learning that her mother knew as well and didn't say anything. This leads to a yelling match with the entire family once Barbara arrives home. Then that creepy Eclipso kid is watching from the outside. So looking at this and then the 4 remaining episodes, we have a lot of things that need to happen this season. We have everything fractured, and I expect it to stay this way at least through the next episode. We learned more about the death of Rebecca Mid-Nite, but there is a link that has yet to be explained with Shade and Charles Mid-Nite. Everyone thinks that Charles is dead by the hands of Shade, yet with Beth and the goggles, we know that he is very much alive in some way, but trapped in the Shadowland. And Shade has made comments as to his innocence and all of that. So there is some connection with Shade, Mid-Nite, and Eclipso that has not yet been revealed that I really feel is going to be a key into defeating Eclipso. There was also the season finale last season where it looked like Sylvester was still alive, and then nothing about it this season. So I'm hoping to get more about that this season, even if they aren't planning to make it a big part of the story this season. I just want to know what the heck that was about. I also think there's an upcoming Icicle storyline with Cameron that I think will expand over the next 4 episodes and then become center stage next season as well. All in all, this was a great episode. I loved seeing the full JSA, and I like this psychological aspect of Eclipso. It's been a really good season to watch. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this.